You need 5 full suitcases? With the 2026 Kia Sportage X Pro's class-leading cargo space, you'll have room for what you need. Find out more at your local Kia dealer today. Keep the adventure going. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-3334-KIA for details. Always drive safely and obey all traffic laws. Comparisons based on second row legroom and cargo space behind second row seats in the subcompact SUV class according to Kia segmentation as of October 2025.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
The lights, the crowd, the moment. When the Warriors take the floor, greatness follows. At Cache Creek Casino Resort, every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cache Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
We're cool for the summer. Demi Lovato. Live in concert in San Francisco. The brand new album, It's Not That Deep, is available everywhere now. For more, visit DemiLovato.com.
The Curry pump fake, flyby, 3-ball. Got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios.
Over to Santos, to Podziemski, left corner 3, Rainbow just barely got the front rim. Gill with it, up to Hardy, 8 seconds to go. Everybody starting to hit for the exits. The Wizards won't shoot. The ball game's over. The Warriors have split the back-to-back to start the road trip. And they have ended their losing streak, 125-117, your final.
The 5-game losing streak is over. Welcome in. It's Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you as the Dubs knock off the Wizards in the nation's capital in D.C. 125-117 is the final score. And man, doesn't that feel good. We almost forgot what it felt like to win a basketball game. It had been quite a while for the Warriors. But hey, they had to get this one because we know what's coming up on this schedule. For the Warriors, up next, you've got Boston, then you've got Detroit, and then you've got the red-hot Atlanta Hawks, who last I checked were cruising to another victory today, along with Jonathan Kuminga, and I think that game has since gone final. Yes, the Hawks, led by Nickeil Alexander-Walker's 41 points, they beat the Magic. The Hawks just keep on winning. The Hawks have now won 10 consecutive games, so you've got the two best teams in the East plus the hottest team in the NBA in your next, handful of games. So you had to get this one. Otherwise, you were potentially looking at a 9 or a 10-game losing streak if things didn't go your way in the other one. So you had to get this one. The Warriors got the job done. Was it a little closer than maybe you would have liked down the stretch? Sure, I'll give you that, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. You had to win this game. The Warriors won. You check that off the list, and you move on. Final score, 125-117. The final as the Dubs win, and we can talk about this being a Wizards team that's now lost 12 consecutive games, and they are one of the more pitiful teams in the NBA right now. No, we could say whatever you want about their future, and honestly, they do have, a handful of some pretty fun pieces. Alex Sarr, top pick a couple of years ago, didn't play tonight. Number 2 overall pick, I should say, a couple of years ago. Didn't play tonight, but honestly has looked pretty good. And they got some other pieces. Kaishan George, who's been out, who's an interesting young player as well. And they got some other pieces that you saw tonight. Things might be looking up for Washington in the future, but as of right now, they are a pitiful, pitiful basketball team. They've now lost 12 consecutive games. They have losing streaks at other points this season of 14 straight losses and 9 straight losses. So they have 3 losing streaks of 9 or more games. They have the second worst record in the NBA. Only the Pacers are worse than them. They are a really, really bad basketball team. So winning a game against this team, even if it is on the road, isn't cause for, oh my God, we're going to win a championship. But when you are the Warriors, you've lost 5 consecutive games. You had fallen out of the 8 seed where you've been really since November. And your ability to maybe catch the Clippers for that 8 seed is slipping as every day passes. And the Blazers, who, by the way, last I checked, were also winning today. If they won and the Warriors had lost, the Warriors would fall out of the 9 seed. So, beggars can't be choosers. A win is a win is a win, and they absolutely needed it. So bottom line is, you just got to get the win by any means necessary. I don't care how ugly it was. And by the way, the Blazers did win. They were in Brooklyn versus the Nets, and the Blazers dominated that game 114-95. So the Blazers win, the Warriors win. That means the Blazers stay just a half game behind the Warriors for the 9th seed in the Western Conference. Important there because the 9 seed hosts the 10 seed in a do-or-die play-in game. Warriors, of course, would rather be at home, and the only way to do that is to finish ahead of the Blazers for that 9 seed. We'll talk more about that as the night moves on. Plus, that's the conversation for the rest of the season, as that battle potentially could come down to the final handful of games of the regular season. But, again, bottom line, doesn't matter how ugly it was, you got to win the basketball game. So that's the baseline for the Warriors. I do think as we dive into what happened in this game tonight, and welcome all your calls and your texts and your messages on YouTube as always, youtube.com/957 the game to join the conversation there. If you want to call or text, you can do so at 888-957-9570. Again, 888-957-9570. Let's talk about this because, again, as I laid out all the reasons why you just had to get a win no matter what. If it was ugly, if it was pretty, it does not matter. Just win. If you win by 1 point, if you win by 50 points, doesn't really matter. All you got to do is win the basketball game. All right, they won. Won by 8. They led the majority of the game. It never felt like it was totally over, but I also personally never really felt like they were in that much danger. Might be kind of bold of me to say that because this is a Warrior team that's lost clutch game after clutch game after clutch game of late. That might have more to do with the Wizards than with the Warriors, why I felt that sense of security today. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is there was some style points for the Warriors in this one, or there was at least the way in which they won this basketball game. It lends itself to confidence in the team going forward. And most notably, it was an entirely different strategy to try to attack offensively. The Warriors said, you know what? Let's stop putting up 55 threes a game. We're going to go into the paint, and we're going to do that relentlessly. The Warriors today, 32 attempts from downtown, their fewest in a game this season. 9 made threes, tied for their fewest in a game this season. They only made 9 threes, yet they scored 125 points in this basketball game. That's because what they did in the paint. They scored 68 points in the paint, 6 more than they've scored in any single game the rest of this season, and they shot 63% on non-three-point shots. So on twos, they shot 63% from the field. They go 9 for 32 on threes, and they go 37 for 59 on twos, and even better specifically in the paint. Take away the mid-range jumpers. In the paint, they were 34 for 51 in the paint. That's about 67% on field goal attempts in the paint. They were absolutely dominant in the paint. A big part of that was D'Anthony Melton, who finished this game with 27 points. He did not make a three. D'Anthony Melton, 0 for 2 from downtown, but 12 for 15 on twos, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He led the way for the Warriors through the first 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, it was Kristaps Porzingis who took over. The newest Warrior, I guess not technically the newest, that would be Omer Yurtseven, but a newish Warrior, Kristaps Porzingis, dominated the fourth quarter. He was great throughout this game. I thought the first quarter was the best we've seen him as a Warrior so far this season, but he one-upped himself in the fourth quarter. This was when it was, if you were nervous as a Warrior fan, it was the fourth quarter, because the Wizards got back within 6 a couple of different times, and you're feeling like, if they just make a couple of threes or a couple of patented Warriors turnovers come here, this might be an opportunity for the Wizards to come all the way back. And then what did the Warriors do? What did they do when the Wizards cut their lead to 6 after they had led by as many as 17 in the first half, 15 at times in the second half? It was usually around like 10 to 13 points for a majority of this game. The Wizards get within 6 in the fourth quarter, and what do the Warriors do? They say, we're going to feed Porzingis over and over and over and over again. Just over and over and over. And really, the way the Wizards got back within 7 or 6 points, it was some Warriors turnover. So you kind of have that feeling that creeps back up in your mind like, oh my God, they're going to give this one away, aren't they? They're going to give this one away. And then Steve Kerr called timeout, and I imagine he said something along the lines of, slow it down, take it easy, we're going to feed Kristaps, and he's going to get us good looks. And then what happened? They did just that. Out of the timeout, they post up Porzingis on the right block. He turns into the paint with the dribble, splits a double team, hits a little fader in the lane for a quick bucket. Next possession, he screens for Podziemski to get the smaller Riley on him. Then Podziemski dumps it off to Porzingis with that smaller Riley on him at the free throw line. He hits a little 15-foot fall away. Dubs go up by 10 with a little more than 5 minutes left. Then again, a possession right after that. Porzingis, 18-foot pull-up jumper from just beyond the free throw line. Then a couple of possessions later, he gets to the free throw line in a bit of a cherry pick situation. It was kind of a fast break where the Warriors got a quick stop and Porzingis hadn't gotten all the way back up the court yet, so they throw it over the top of the defense to Porzingis, who draws a foul. He was upset that he didn't get the and one, but he drew the foul, made both free throws. Then an ensuing possession, got the ball top of the key, drove towards the right block, draws a foul, makes both again, and then they ran the same exact play where it's kind of that dribble handoff with Melton where Porzingis kind of doubles as the screener, and Melton doubles as the screener as he hands the ball off to Porzingis, who's kind of racing from the left wing towards the top of the key right around Melton as he hands the ball off, and he uses that momentum to take him into the paint, draw foul again, and make both free throws. That was all within like a 3-minute stretch where he scored 12 points. He scored 12 of the Warriors' 14 points during that stretch, and that was reason number one why it went from a tense 6-point Warrior lead to a Warrior win, because Kristaps Porzingis took over. He took over. He scored 30 points in this game, had 5 rebounds and 4 assists, had 2 steals and 3 blocks. He was great. He was great in this game, and it's really telling where the Warriors go when they need buckets. I also think it was really telling how many minutes Kristaps Porzingis played in this game. Steve Kerr has been saying we want to keep him around 20 minutes. I guess how many minutes Porzingis played today? 26 minutes. And you know why? Because with how well he was playing in the fourth quarter, there's no freaking way possible Steve Kerr can take him out. There's no way that Steve Kerr can take him out when it's still a game that's in the balance, that's kind of hanging there for anybody, and Porzingis is scoring 12 out of your 14 points over a stretch. You can't take that guy out of the lineup. Steve Kerr maybe is going to face the music when it comes to the medical staff, maybe, if they're not happy that Porzingis played 26 minutes, but it got the Warriors a win, and man, it felt good. It was Melton through the first 3 quarters, and then it was Porzingis who brought this one home. And again, these are little breadcrumbs that we can follow that I think suggest if there is a reality where this Warrior team gets healthy, and I mean everybody but Jimmy Butler, although it was cool. Jimmy Butler is on the road trip with the Warrior team. He's been cleared to be on flights after his knee injury to repair his ACL. He's been cleared, so he's with the team on this road trip, and he spoke to some of the media in the locker room pregame. Good to see him around. I'm sure that helps the morale of the group. Steph Curry, as we know, is also on the trip, which is a good thing as well. But if this Warrior team is to get healthy, and by healthy, I mean everybody not named Jimmy Butler because he's out for the season, you add Steph Curry and Moses Moody and Al Horford to this team that feels like they're getting a Porzingis that is getting into a rhythm, and they have a Melton who the opponents can't keep out of the paint, and you've got a Guy Santos who makes 4 of 6 threes, and you got a GP2 who honestly might be playing the best basketball of his career. Like, this isn't that far-fetched to say, well, that team's going to look pretty good. Like, I don't think it's that far-fetched. Now, it's far too late to assume that they're going to be able to make any kind of crazy noise in the postseason, but I don't know. The pieces are there for, at the very least, this to be a fun team to watch down the stretch if they are able to get healthy, because the Warriors have not had this with Kristaps Porzingis really ever. I mean, the only other guy that is similar in terms of a height and shooting ability to Kristaps Porzingis that the Warriors have ever had is Kevin Durant, and that's not fair because Kevin Durant is maybe the best single bucket getter in the history of this game. Porzingis is taller and not as good of a shooter, not as quick, not as good of a handle. Like, we know Kevin Durant is Kevin freaking Durant. It's an unfair comparison, but they haven't had this kind of player really ever. So you give Steve Kerr and Steph Curry that kind of player. If he can just stay healthy, it was never about whether his skill set would fit on this roster. It was how often is he going to play. And his Warriors tenure began in a really, really unfortunate way where he played in just one game, then had to miss a number of games before returning. But ever since he returned, he's looked pretty darn good. And the only games he's missed are, back-to-backs, either the front or the back end of back-to-backs, like he did not play yesterday in New York City versus the Knicks. And who knows, if he plays in that game, the Warriors might win that game. So, there are some breadcrumbs here. I do think that suggest there's a chance that if, and it's a gigantic if, but if this Warrior team can get healthy, then there will be a team at the top of the Western Conference, likely the Oklahoma City Thunder, that would probably much rather play a team like, the Phoenix Suns than the Warriors. Not that they think the Warriors are going to beat them, but I would much rather take on a Phoenix Suns team than a Warrior team that would feature Stephen Curry and Kristaps Porzingis and DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford and Draymond Green and Guy Santos, right, and GP2. I don't think that is crazy to say. Now, maybe I am overreacting because we haven't even seen Steph Curry come back. I do think Steph's going to come back. I'm still circling that game at home against the Nets coming up in a couple of weeks. I forget exactly what day that is. I believe it's the 25th versus the Nets. So we're talking about 9 days from now, about a week and a half. That's the date that I personally have kind of circled. I don't have inside information. We'll see how that all plays out. But I don't think it's that far-fetched to at least think that this is going to be a pretty darn fun team to watch if they can get healthy. Because today gave you a taste. I know it's Washington, and I know this is a Wizards team that has now lost 12 games in a row, and they're just trying desperately to get as many ping pong balls in the lottery as they possibly can, so they're not trying to win. They put up a pretty good fight today, honestly. But there are individual aspects of tonight's game where you can say, okay, I can see the vision a little bit. And that's kind of what we've been forced to be looking for the Warriors of late because they haven't won a lot of basketball games. They had just lost 5 games in a row. They were 1-7 in their previous 8 before tonight. So we kind of were, unless we wanted to wallow in self-despair after every single one of these games, you were kind of forced to be creative in terms of finding, positives about this Warrior team. Today, you got the win, so you don't have to search nearly as hard for it, but there are still those positives that I do think shine through. And chief among them is Kristaps Porzingis. 30 points. He was incredibly efficient. He kind of gives the Warriors a Jimmy Butler characteristic where they can kind of cheat their way into points because he can get to the free throw line. And at times he can do it at will. He got to the line 14 times today. The Warriors as a team got to the line 28 times. And Porzingis was responsible for half of them. And really considering that he got the Wizards in foul trouble, he was responsible for more than half of those free throws. Because there aren't as many free throws, not even just counting the ones Porzingis took. There are fewer free throws for the others if Porzingis is not getting the Wizards in foul trouble in the first place. So he kind of gives the Warriors a cheap and easy way to score points, maybe when their shot isn't falling, much like Jimmy Butler did. That's one of the main reasons why his acquisition totally changed what last year was for the Warriors. But he also just gives them a way to score that isn't Melton driving to the paint, and that isn't hope and pray that this Guy Santos 3 goes in. It's, we're going to throw it into the post to Kristaps Porzingis. Whether he's got a 7-footer on him or not, he has the confidence to, show off a couple of moves, pump fake, step through, step arounds, fade away, lean in, lean out, lean left, lean right, give the pump fake, draw the foul. Like, he has a number of different ways that he can score. And not that I don't mean to demean his skill set, but that's a relatively easy way to get points. And in fact, I mean that more as a compliment. The Warriors, and I think the issue for the Warriors of late, and it's obviously related to all their injuries, but the issue for the Warriors has been at times their offense takes a ton of effort and they have to execute really, really well to get a good look. And then you're just hoping the look even goes in the first place. And why at times their turnover numbers are so maddening is because in order for them, without Steph and without Jimmy, and at times without Porzingis, or maybe even pre-trade deadline when they were without Kuminga, right? Like, all of, and I say without Kuminga not because he was hurt some of the time, but because they just were not playing him. When you're down all that talent and down that individual just bucket-getting ability, you have to have like 5 guys on the floor together, working together on a string, a single mind, decisions made in a split second, accurate passes, right decisions to make those passes just to create one good look. And you better hope the good look is being created for a positive shooter and not for someone like a Draymond Green or a GP2. And I don't mean to single those guys out, but generally you don't have a ton of confidence when those guys are shooting threes. So when you are tasked with creating an offense that doesn't kind of circle around some kind of crazy attribute, and for Steph, it's his three-point shooting and his gravity. And for Jimmy, it's his ability to get to the free throw line. And for Kristaps, it is his unique ability to shoot over anybody that is guarding him. When you don't have that, like, number one ability to lean on, you have to work so much harder as a unit offensively to get good looks. And that's why the Warriors' offense has largely been pretty hit or miss at times, with all these injuries. But Porzingis just gives them a way to, even when their shots aren't falling, or even when the execution for whatever reason is not working on that given night, when maybe they're committing just a couple more turnovers than usual, or they're missing open threes they normally make. Whatever the reason is for the offense not working, Porzingis gives you an easy out. And it's what they turn to in the fourth quarter over and over and over and over again. It was, all right, KP, go to work. And there were some designed plays, like that Melton dribble handoff that they called back-to-back times that got Porzingis to the line both times. I think it was Melton both times. It was definitely Melton the second time, but it doesn't matter who the ball handler is. He has the ball handler does, top of the key, maybe a little more towards the left elbow, and Porzingis is on the left wing without the ball. The ball handler, again, is that guy on the left elbow, kind of extended out towards the three-point line. And Porzingis from the left wing comes running off of the ball handler's shoulder. And as he's running right next to him, they're kind of brushing shoulders. You want to get as close as you possibly can so it can act like a screen and your trailing defender can't get side by side you to knock the ball away. As you run past Melton's shoulder or that ball handler's shoulder, he hands the ball off to you, and that ball handler then turns into a screener, and Porzingis not only now has his defender behind him, but he has the ball suddenly in motion, already full steam ahead towards the basket, and the defense has to help out from down low or from somebody else, And Porzingis in that situation is very adept at either getting a good look off or drawing a foul or both. And he did that both times. So there are times where you're calling a play and you're designing a play specifically for him in terms of like an actual like schemed out, all right, Porzingis, you set up left wing. Melton, you drive to the middle part of the court near the left elbow, and then we're going to run dribble handoff screen, and you're going to take the handoff and then drive into the paint and make your decision from there. There are times where they call actual schemed up looks like that, but there's other times where they just say, Kristaps, you're near the right block. We're going to clear out that side of the floor for you and just throw it into you and go to work, buddy. Go to work. Or it's as simple as Podziemski ball handler. Porzingis comes up and sets a screen. Podziemski's man has to switch on to Kristaps. And then Kristaps takes that defender away from the ball. Podziemski lobs the pass over the top of the defense to Porzingis, and he hits a little 18-foot jumper over the much shorter defender. Easy money. Easy money. He just gives the Warriors a way to where you can score points at a pretty darn effective rate without having to work terribly hard. And that's what you need. You need that when you're without Steph and you're without Jimmy and you're without a guy. I mean, you have him in Porzingis, but the rest of your players, is my point, don't have that single, like, crazy trademarkable ability that you can say, all right, we can lean on this for a gigantic stretch. The Warriors leaned on that in the fourth quarter today, and it worked. He scored 12 of the Warriors' 14 points during the most important stretch of this basketball game. He was great, and it's very telling, by the way, the Warriors are willingly going to him over and over and over in those moments. They want to see what they have in him, and they got something pretty darn good when he's playing, but they also know that, I mean, he gives them their best chance to score. I mean, it was him and Melton today. That was the offense. Guy Santos had 18, made 4 threes. He was limited because of foul trouble, unfortunately, and you got 15 from GP2, who was really good again today, but really it was Porzingis in the fourth, and it was Melton quarters 1 through 3, and that was enough for the Warriors to get the win over the lowly Wizards. I know it's the lowly Wizards. I'm not trying to get too excited, but tonight was pretty impressive, and it was a good sign for the Warriors going forward. All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Wrap Up. Mark Randy with you. If you want to weigh in, always time for your calls and your text at 888-957-9570. Again, that's 888-957-9570. Dubs snap their 5-game losing streak. They get a really important win because the Blazers also winners today. They lean on D'Anthony Melton and Kristaps Porzingis, both of whom did not play yesterday in New York, by the way, and the Warriors almost still won that game. That's honestly pretty darn impressive. Warriors, though, get the win today, 125-117. A huge win. You had to get this one, and they got the job done. More to get into, plus Steve Kerr's post-game presser. You're going to want to hear what he had to say. All that and more is coming up as we return. Dubs win, 125-117. More Warriors Wrap Up with me, Mark Randy, coming up next on 95.7 The Game.
Looking for lifelong financial guidance? Look no further than Pettinelli Financial Partners, your dedicated financial coaches for every stage of life's journey. Whether you're planning for retirement, starting a family, or buying a home, we're here for you every step of the way. Visit PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills.
Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Doors and loading dock equipment are a crucial part of your business, and one you probably don't think much about until they break. A broken door or dock leveler can be a real security threat, along with disturbing the flow of goods in your business. Luckily, RNS is here for all your commercial door, dock, and gate needs. From overhead doors and security shutters to fire-rated and personnel doors, RNS can provide your business with safety and security. Call 800-FIX-A-DOOR to schedule a free estimate or visit rsdoors.com. RNS Doors. Look for the red truck.
What if you could have the most reliable Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Just 5 years of fiber-powered Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most. That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Powered by fiber. Connects to the premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Home equity. Across America, there's $30 trillion of it sitting in homes, already earned, already yours. But for most homeowners, it's not easy to access. Until now. Unlock's home equity agreements help you unlock your equity without the usual headaches. For flexibility, for possibilities, for the things that actually matter to you. So ask yourself one simple question. How much can you unlock? Find out at unlock.com/home.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Use home equity responsibly.
Come into Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill March 27th through March 29th for their once-yearly Red Tag clearance sale. Take advantage of factory direct prices, one-of-a-kind opportunities, special pricing on floor models, and convenient financing. And save on new appliances from trusted brands like Miele, Bosch, Electrolux, LG, and Maytag. Visit Freeman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill for their Red Tag clearance sale March 27th through March 29th for the best time to save big on new appliances for your home.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Payton now will back in a kind of a post-up position. Feeds Draymond, top of the key, right side to Melton. Melton gets by his man, goes up and slams it down. Oh, there might be a new poster for DeAnthony Melton. Of that one, a right-hand slam, a little elevation sensation makes it 83-72.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
I don't know about make some noise for me. Make some noise for DeAnthony Melton. How about that poster? Oh, Melton, that's now a couple of times in the last few weeks that he has gotten up and posterized somebody. That was in the third quarter tonight. You heard Tim Roy, the voice of the Dubs, describe the action. You always love when Tim's voice gets scratchy like that, when it gets caught off guard and you can hear the excitement It was that Melton dunk. He drove past Koulibaly and then dunked all over Sharif Cooper. Welcome to your Kodak moment, Sharif Cooper. Melton showing off the ups. You can tell that he's feeling a whole lot better physically than he has in quite a long time because he is showing off that athleticism a little more often than I think I've ever seen it from him. And he's been a quality player in the league for some time now. Unfortunately, has just been beset by a number of injuries, specifically to his knees. And it's just great to see him healthy and playing really good basketball because he was great today. He was absolutely great today. 27 points, 12 of 17 from the field, 0 for 2 from downtown, which means on 2-point attempts, he was 12 for 15. The Wizards could not keep him out of the paint. Got to the line 3 times, made all of them, had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He was great in this game. And you wonder, like, let's dream for a second and welcome back. It's Warriors Wrap Up. Mark Randy with you. If you want to weigh in, you can join the conversation at 888-957-9570. Again, 888-957-9570. That's both the number to call and to text. The Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. Plus, we got the YouTube chat rolling as always, youtube.com/957 the game. Welcome to everybody on YouTube. Let's see who's chiming in on YouTube. I see you, Apollo. I see you, James. I see you, Pierce. I see you, Theodore. I see you, Chico Jake. Even though I know, Chico Jake, you were upset at me last night. Welcome in. I love all of you equally. GG. Who else do we see here? Tammy and a few others. Keeping the comments coming on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 the game. Let's dream for a second. Let's say the Warriors, again, other than Jimmy Butler, can get healthy. And also shout out to Chico. I just saw Chico chime in as well. Let's say the Warriors, other than Jimmy Butler, get healthy at some point before the rest of the season. We'd be looking at a lineup that could be Steph Curry, right? Curry, Melton, Pods, and then you've got 3 bigs in the form of Draymond, Al Horford, and Kristaps Porzingis, who you can kind of rotate, around. Curry, pardon me, I did not mean to include Pods in that group. He would be coming off the bench in my mind. I meant Moody because he'd be healthy. Curry, Melton, Moody, and then any combination of those 3 big men in Draymond, Al Horford, and Kristaps Porzingis. That's not a bad group. And then you've got somebody like Guy Santos coming off the bench, like Podziemski coming off of the bench. The other big in that group, probably Porzingis or Horford, because you're going to have Draymond start at the 4, I would imagine, and then one of those other guys will be your 5, and they're going to be relatively limited minutes-wise, so you can bring them in and out, and you can swap them in and out, and they can kind of be irreplaceable. But, like, that's not a bad group. Curry, Melton, Moody, Draymond, and Porzingis, or Curry, Melton, Moody, Draymond, and Al Horford, with the other big coming off of the bench, and then Guy and Podziemski coming off of the bench. I tend to think a lot of the reason why there is a lot of disagreement within the fan base about Podziemski, it's because he's playing out of role. I think Podziemski would be perfectly fine as your 7th guy coming off of the bench, 6th or 7th man off of the bench. And if the Warriors can find a way to get healthy before the end of the regular season, that would probably become the Warriors' reality. I think Melton is the perfect guy to start alongside Stephen Curry at the 2 guard spots. And then you figure out the rest of the lineup, but I think it frees up both Guy and Podziemski to come off the bench, GP2 as a super sub as well. And suddenly you've got a team that doesn't just feel incredibly top-heavy because of what we learned about Guy during this stretch. What we have seen from Podziemski of late, I think his play has been really solid, honestly, since the All-Star break. He wasn't very good tonight. It happens. Doesn't mean I'm going to write him off as a negative player for the rest of his career like some people tend to do. He wasn't great today. That's fine. It happens. Largely, I think he's been pretty good. But you've seen what you can get from him over a longer stretch of time. Same thing goes for Guy Santos. GP2 is playing some of the best basketball of his career. Doesn't mean it's all going to stay that way going forward when everybody else gets healthy and the role maybe decreases for some of those guys. But at least, those guys are capable of doing that going forward as well. So I do think that there is reason to be encouraged that okay, at least this is going to be a team that is worth watching and is fun to watch and could give some really good teams some problems if they get to the postseason. So we'll see how it all goes going forward for the Warriors, but I'm trying to not get ahead of myself. But I do think there's reason to be encouraged at the very least for the Warriors. All right. 888-957-9570. I just want to make sure to address a comment on the YouTube chat before I go out to the phone lines because I want to avoid any misinformation as possible, and I'm going to try to dispel all these rumors. Sleepy Noid on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. Sleepy Noid is claiming that Steve Kerr did not play LJ Cryer because it made Podziemski look bad. Sleepy Noid, LJ Cryer was out today with an injury. He was unavailable to play. There was a comment earlier that I saw a couple of nights ago when Quinton Post did not play because he was out with an injury that Steve Kerr had some nefarious reason for not playing him. No, I just beg everyone to please look at the injury report and find out who's available before games. Or you can just listen to Warriors Live before every one of these games, an hour before tip-off, because we give you the injury reports before every game. So let's just be smart. Is what I'm asking. I don't think there's anything nefarious going on here. LJ Cryer was out with an injury. Quinton Post was out with an injury. All right? Okay, let's move on. Out to the phones we go. 888-957-9570 as the Dubs beat the Wizards 125-117. They snap the Warriors' 5-game losing streak. Chardol in Fremont is up now here on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's up, Chardol?
Hey, Mark Brandy, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, 95.7 The Game. As the Golden State Warriors take down the Washington Wizards by a final score 125-117 from the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., also known as the nation's capital. KP went off. He had 30 points. He looked phenomenal. And the Warriors snap a 5-game losing streak as they head to Boston for their next opponent at the TD Garden. But it was great calling into the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, Chardol. I appreciate that. And don't worry, Evan will be back on Warriors Wrap-Up. I know you've been worried, Chardol.
I think you're the GOAT. I think you kill it every single day. Keep doing what you do. You're the man. You know how to get it done.
Thank you, Chardol. That was not live, Chardol. That was some radio magic in the back by my guy, Cam Williams. I thought for a second he was still on the air, but he wasn't. Don't worry, Chardol. Everything is all right. You can hear Evan all of this week on Steiny and Goo filling in for Steiny. So if you're missing your Evan fix, you will get it 10-2 every day this week here on 95.7 The Game. But I mean, Chardol is right with how good Kristaps Porzingis was. Those 30 points, and it's always interesting when like you're just casually watching a basketball game, and that's not how I would describe the way that I watch Warrior games. Like I'm sitting here and I'm writing things down and taking some notes because I want to be informed when I hop on the radio and talk to you guys. I want to know, for example, who's available, and a player like LJ Cryer not playing tonight, right? I kid, but I want to know what I'm talking about when I turn the radio on and talk to you guys. But in general, if you're just like kind of sitting at home, maybe you're making some food, or you're having a glass of wine, or you crack open a beer and you're just enjoying a Warriors basketball game on a Monday evening, maybe you're not like really, really following along with the stats, and maybe you're not totally listening to everything Fitz and Buki are saying, but you're paying attention and you're watching, and you find out, during a commercial break, or you hear Fitz say, and Porzingis now has 26. And you think, wow, that's like a quiet 26. And I don't think there's like a better compliment that you can give a player than they scored like a quiet 25 or more. Like oftentimes, like I'll use Podziemski as an example. That was a relatively loud 25 for Podziemski yesterday. And part of it is expectations. Part of it is where these players are in their career. But Porzingis is 30. It was like, it never really felt like until that fourth quarter that he was just taking over the game and dominating. But you blink and you look up and suddenly he's staring at 30 points. At 30 points. And it's a lot of it is because the way in which he does it. He got 13 points from the free throw line. 13 points from the free throw line. And when that happens, that's not like sexy, and it doesn't include a lot of threes or posterizing dunks or all that. But like it's 2 free throws counts the same as a highlight reel dunk. And Porzingis is getting the free throws very, very often, 13 for 14 from the line. And I think it's a gigantic compliment that I can say Porzingis had a relatively quiet 30. You knew that he was great in the fourth quarter, and he scored 12 during that stretch in the fourth quarter where he scored 12 of the Warriors' 14 points. And he had a really good first quarter as well. But aside from those 2 smallish stretches, it wasn't like this game revolved around Porzingis the whole time. I mean, it's hard to do that when he only plays 26 minutes. And I say only, that's not a gigantic number in the grand scheme of things, and it's a pretty small number to score 30 points in. But for Porzingis, it's a lot of minutes, considering Steve Kerr has said he only wants to play guys or play him like 20 minutes a night when he does play. But it was a relatively quieter 30. And that's the biggest compliment that you can give a scorer, because it seems kind of effortless. It seems easy. It seems straightforward. It seems just like kind of what he normally does. And not that you're going to expect him to score 30 every single night, but the point is that it didn't feel like what he did today was an outlier. Do you agree? 888-957-9570. Was Porzingis' performance today an outlier in your opinion? Again, not that you expect 30 points every night, but the process with which it happened, the way in which it happened. I feel like if you give Porzingis the number of opportunities that he had today, he's going to score like 25 or more. Like, that's just how capable he is when he gets the ball in those spots. And to the Warriors' credit, I think Steve Kerr deserves a ton of credit. I think the whole coaching staff deserves a lot of credit. They are finding ways to get Porzingis the ball in spots that he's comfortable. And what makes it even more difficult is when your roster and your offensive plan of attack right now is essentially either Melton drives and scores himself, or Porzingis, you throw it into him in the post and you try to get it done that way. And maybe, you have they had some crazy ball movement, some really good ball movement today that results in a Guy Santos 3. Like, those are your 3 most common ways of scoring. When you are relatively predictable with your offense, and the Warriors, I think, generally can be at times, they don't have a ton of offensive skills to lean on, it becomes easier for a defense to take those few options away from you. And something as simple as, I'm going to throw it into the post to Porzingis, should be relatively easy to counteract. Now, Washington happens to be one of the worst teams in basketball and one of the worst defenses in basketball, so maybe this is not a fair conclusion to draw from just this game. But the fact that the Warriors could be somewhat vanilla in getting Porzingis the ball and it work over and over and over is a great sign. Now, again, the Wizards are not great, and other teams will do more to take the ball away from Porzingis. Like, I'm thinking of the game in OKC, where the Warriors narrowly lost that game. Porzingis played, and while he was somewhat of a volume scorer, I thought he had a positive impact on that game. I think that was his second game. Yeah, it was his first game after the long layoff after he made his debut versus the Celtics. But every time he touched the ball, OKC sent doubles. They just sent double teams his way. And when that's the reality that you're facing, when you have so few other options offensively that you can give the ball to one of your guys and he just gets doubled no matter what immediately, that says, one, it's a compliment to that guy. It's a compliment to Porzingis. It's also kind of an insult to everybody else, because the opponent, the defense that you're facing, is willing to take a defender away from somebody else every single time the other guy gets the basketball. It means you're not that afraid of the other guy, but you are afraid of Porzingis. But what happened tonight was the Warriors were able to get Porzingis looks and get him comfortable in a number of different ways. And again, some of that probably is on the Wizards for just not being a good defensive team, but a lot of it is also on the Warriors on finding some new and creative ways to get him looks. And it wasn't like that crazy, but again, it was that dribble handoff with Melton at the top of the key. It was the simple screen where Porzingis screens for Podziemski's guy when Podziemski has the ball to get the switch. Then you throw it to him and you let him take the mid-range jumper. It was throwing it into the post. Double teams came on him in the post. He split them and scored anyway, or drew fouls, or dropped it off. He had a great pass to a cutting GP2 for a dunk in the first half off of a double team near the left block. Like, they're getting him the ball in spots in a number of different ways. All right, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Again, 888-957-9570. Let's hear from Steve Kerr, who addressed the media after the Warriors win. Again, final score 125-117 in Washington, in D.C. The Dubs snap a 5-game losing streak, and they stay just a half game ahead of the Blazers, who also won today on the East Coast in Brooklyn versus the Nets. Here is Warriors head coach Steve Kerr postgame tonight.
Number 600 for you. What did you like the most about this one?
Just the result. Yeah, it was not a great basketball game, but we needed the win, and we did enough to get the win. I'm proud of the guys, coming off the tough loss last night and travel and fatigue. It was a good effort, and we had some really good individual performances. Just happy to get the win and break the losing streak.
And you're the fourth fastest coach to 600 wins. Just what does it mean to be in that kind of company with Phil, Pop, and Pat?
It's surreal to hear my name in that group. But I can tell you that there's one thing that bonds us all together, those names and mine. It's talent. It's talent. I mean, you can't win in this league without great players, and I was blessed from the day I took this job with incredible talent with Steph and Clay and Andre and Andrew Bogut and down the list, Harrison Barnes, and then obviously over the subsequent 12 years, I could list, I can go down the list. David West, Kevin Durant, Zaza, all these guys are just amazing. And so I owe the honor to incredible talent and a great organization, just to work for the Warriors, to be part of this group, amazing group of people that Joe Lacob and Peter Guber put together, just to be a part of this. I'm so blessed, and most organizations are not this strong and this aligned, and I'm very, very lucky. I also want to thank all my coaches. I've had so many great coaches on our staff here over 12 years, and I think back to my first year with Ron Adams and Alvin Gentry, and I really didn't know what I was doing, and having those guys next to me, Luke Walton, that seems like a long time ago, but and all the way up until today, just being in that room with Terry Stotts and Stack and Q and the whole group, it's Chris Weems, it's really special what we get to do every day, and I'm very lucky.
Kristaps had a 30-point game. What are you kind of seeing from him right now? He seems a lot more comfortable in the offense.
Well, he's just gotten his legs underneath him. I know he's told you guys that, over the recent, stretch of games, that he felt more comfortable and he was starting to get his rhythm, and you could see it. He just scores so easily, and really closed the game tonight with his free throws, just getting to the line over and over again to keep them at bay. And he's quite a talent. We're also on the Kristaps Porzingis reunion tour. It's kind of crazy. We're playing every one of his former teams, the Knicks, Washington, Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, all 5 of his teams we're seeing on this trip. So players usually get up for playing their against their old teams, and I think that's the case with Kristaps.
Gary's had several strong offensive games here recently. With all these different lineups and all these different combinations, what does he do that allows him to fit with basically any lineup, seems like, to always be able to find space on the floor?
He's one of our best screen and rollers. He is our best screen and rollers. He does it with such pace, and he's usually guarded by a big guy. Most teams put a center or a power forward on him, and he's able to race out, create separation with his speed, and then he's got a knack for screening underneath and diving, and he's got great hands and great finishing ability. So he's been wonderful player for us over the years, great friend. I look forward to seeing Gary every single day. He's got a smile on his face, an amazing teammate, and it's been a blessing coaching Gary.
Daniel Suarez from Cultura Sports. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
And what role does Steph Curry plays being on the bench, but also traveling with the team?
Yes, I mean, just the leadership that Steph provides. Jimmy was here today. Draymond, just the veteran presence and leadership that those guys provide is really important to us. And I can't remember, I might not have mentioned Draymond earlier when I was going through the list of names. That was a rather big omission. Draymond has just been kind of the heartbeat of this whole thing, these 12 years. And it's been an honor to coach him as well. But the leadership that those guys provide now is crucial for us. And having Steph on the trip just gives us a level of comfort. The guys, they feel better. We all feel better when he's around, even if he's not in uniform.
Steve, you kind of touched on it, but when you finally hit that mark, knowing what you guys have gone through this season, but in all these years, I know you're in the thick of the regular season, but do you have that moment where you think back to all the people that you've come across to get to this point? Right now, that's the moment. I literally haven't thought about it until now. Raymond told me a few days ago, actually like 4 games ago, and he said, the next one is 600 and you'll be the 4th fastest. And I said, well, how many games do we have to lose to make me the 5th fastest? Just kind of joking around. And then we lost 5 in a row. So I guess I jinxed us. But I haven't given it any thought until now. And with these questions and the reception I got in the locker room, it's a time to reflect and be thankful for everything I've been given. Did they give you the ball? Steph gave me the ball. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Water bottle shower?
No water bottle shower, thankfully. Yeah, I'm too old for that.
Do you know who you're behind in the all-time wins list?
I don't. Yeah.
Would you like to know?
Not really. Yeah.
Warrior with at least 30 points and 3 blocks off the bench. Most space.
Really? Wow. Raymond finally came up with something interesting after all these years. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Steve Kerr postgame and a little good-natured ribbing towards Raymond Ritter, director of PR and communications and everything there at the Golden State Warriors. A lot of that post-game presser for Steve Kerr spent on the fact that he just won his 600th career regular season game as a head coach in the NBA. Of course, every single one of those 600 have come at the helm of the Golden State Warriors. It was his 943rd game in the regular season as a head coach, which means he's 600 wins and 343 losses in his 943 games. Those 943 games it took Steve to get to 600 career regular season wins, the 4th fewest number of games it took a head coach to get to 600 wins in the regular season in their career. The only 3 that did it quicker than Steve Kerr. Are you ready for these names? This is, probably 3 names on the Mount Rushmore of coaches in the NBA. You've got Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, and Greg Popovich. Those are the only 3 that won 600 career regular season games faster than Steve Kerr did. And I know what all you guys are going to say. Maybe not all. I know what at least a handful of you are going to say. Well, you're going to say, well, of course it only took him 943 games because he's got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. And okay, that's absolutely fair. Steve Kerr also said that himself. He wasn't even asked. He just said it when asked and being congratulated about his 600 wins. He says, you know what ties us all together, what ties Phil Jackson and Pat Riley and Greg Popovich and me together? Steve Kerr said talent. All those guys had amazing talent, right? Phil Jackson, who did he have? Oh, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and then with the Lakers, he had Shaq and Kobe, and then Kobe and Powell. That's a pretty big deal. Pat Riley, who did he have? Well, Magic Johnson, right? And Kareem. And then with the Heat, he had Shaq, older Shaq, and Dwayne Wade. Who did Greg Popovich have? Well, first David Robinson, and then Tim Duncan, and then Tony Parker, and then Manu Ginobili, and then Kawhi Leonard, right? Who did Steve Kerr have? Well, a lot of Hall of Famers too, but he's right in saying that all those other guys also had a crazy amount of talent. And Steve Kerr is always very humble when it comes to his accomplishments. So kudos, Steve. Congratulations on 600 career regular season wins, becoming the fourth fastest coach in NBA history to ever reach that number. 600 career regular season wins in just 943 career regular season games. All right, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco, an Odyssey Sports Station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries, always live on the free Odyssey app, coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. I want to shout out a commenter on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 The Game. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Arioka? Apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. Grandy, you forgot James Worthy for the Lakers. Yeah, you're absolutely right. A ton of talent on those Laker teams. Absolutely, just magic was the first that came to mind for me. Warriors win this one, 125-117. The final score. The Dubs, they've ended their 5-game losing streak. They had to get this one because as we look ahead at what's to come for the Warriors, as we wrap things up here in just a few minutes, the Warriors have maybe the most difficult 3-game stretch you could possibly dream up in the NBA this season, at least, or at least in this moment. There might be maybe a more tough one that would include like OKC and San Antonio. But this one is, I don't know, probably at worst like the third most difficult trio of games you could possibly think of. You're in Boston on Wednesday. You're in Detroit on Friday. If you're not keeping score at home, those are the top 2 teams in the East. Detroit, the number 1 seed, like they've been basically all season. Boston, the number 2 seed currently. And they're getting healthier now with Jason Tatum finally back from his Achilles injury that took him out of the playoffs last year in the second round. And then you've got Atlanta. After that, Atlanta is the hottest team in the NBA. And with their win today, the Atlanta Hawks are now 37-31. They've won 10 games in a row, and they're only a game and a half out of the 6th seed in the East, which would mean no play-in for them, and they would just be straight into a playoff series against the New York Knicks if they were the 6th seed. They're the hottest team in basketball. And then you've got the 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference coming up for the Warriors. So you had to get this game, because let's just say you had lost this one. You had lost this one today, it would be a 6-game losing streak. And then you got Boston, Detroit, and Atlanta. And let's just say for the hell of it, they lose all 3 of those games. Because, by the way, Steph is definitely not playing in the first 2. I would be shocked if he were playing in that Atlanta game as well. It's possible. He has not yet been ruled out for that game. I think it's highly, highly, highly unlikely. Let's just say those 3 are also losses, and they had lost tonight. That would mean you'd be looking at a 9-game losing streak. And at the end of it, the Warriors might be 32-36, 37, 38, 32-39 would potentially be the Warriors' record had they lost tonight, and you lose the next 3 games against 3 really good basketball teams. So you had to win tonight. And it's why I was kind of doing this exercise in my head earlier today. What would you accept as a Warrior fan? What record would you accept on this 6-game trip? The Warriors are 2 games in. They're 1-1. They lost to Washington last night. They lost to New York last night. They beat Washington tonight. Then the next 4 are, as I mentioned, Boston, Detroit, and Atlanta, followed by Dallas. What would you as a Warrior fan accept in this 6-game road trip? I think 2-4 is at the most you could accept or expect from the Warriors on this trip, because New York's a really tough team. You kept it close, but you lost in the final seconds there. Boston's going to be really hard. Detroit's going to be really hard. Atlanta's going to be really hard. You feel like hopefully you get Dallas in that one. That's not a back-to-back. It is the last game of a trip, which is generally pretty difficult as well. But I don't know. 3-3 on this road trip, considering who the opponents are, seems like you're asking for a whole lot. 2-4. I honestly, as a Warrior fan, I think I'd probably accept a 2-4 trip, which means you just win 1 of the final 4 games, and you're probably circling that Dallas game as the one to get. Now, we'll see how it all plays out. That is kind of low expectations, but I think it's fair given that the Warriors are without Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Al Horford and Moses Moody and Seth Curry. You did get Porzingis back tonight. You got Melton back tonight. Those guys were not out with any serious injuries. That was injury management. That was load management related. So not a surprise they played today. Similar story with Draymond, who did not play yesterday in New York, but played today. So you should be healthier going forward than you were versus the Knicks, and you still almost won that basketball game. But I don't think until Steph comes back that we can ask for all that much from this Warrior team against some of those really, really good teams. That is what's ahead for the Warriors. Again, Boston up next on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, which means pregame coverage begins at 3 right here on 95.7 The Game. Before we get out of here, let's take a look at some of the scores from around the NBA today. Only one other really important game for the Warriors, and that is what's going on up north in the Pacific Northwest, although this game for the Blazers was out east in Brooklyn versus the Nets. The Blazers beat the Nets 114-95. That was the final, and I misspoke. There is one other important game. I'll get to that in a second. But the Blazers won, so they're now 33-36. The Warriors won, so they're 33-35, which means the Blazers still just a half game behind the Warriors. They do also have the tiebreaker. So let's just say the Warriors lose. The Blazers have played one extra game, one more game than the Warriors have. They have the same amount of wins, but they have one more loss. The Blazers do. Let's just pretend the Warriors had one more loss, and they were also 33-36. The Blazers would be the 9 seed, and the Warriors would be the 10 because the Blazers have the tiebreaker. They beat the Warriors 3 out of 4 times this season. So if the Blazers are to finish the regular season with the same record as the Warriors, or of course a better record, they would finish ahead of the Warriors. So the Warriors have to be better than Portland. They cannot just be tied with Portland. They have to be better than Portland in order to be the 9 seed when the regular season is all over. So the message for Warrior fans is pretty straightforward. Root for the Warriors and root against the Blazers. Those are by far the 2 most important results for the Warriors going forward. The other most important result is the Los Angeles Clippers. I still think it's unlikely, but it is definitely possible for the Warriors to catch the Clippers and be the 8 seed. That would be a big deal because if you're the 8 seed, you only have to win 1 play-in game, and you would have 2 chances to win that 1 game if it comes to that in order to advance to the playoffs. If you're the 9 or the 10 seed, you have to win 2 do-or-die games just to go to the playoffs. So if you could catch the Clippers, that would help you out a ton. And you're getting a little bit of help right now from the San Antonio Spurs. This game going on in Inglewood at the Intuit Dome. Spurs right now lead the Clippers 52-45. A little less than 5 to go in the second quarter. So as you wrap up your Warriors listening portion of the night, you can switch on over to Peacock and watch Spurs and Clippers. That game going on right now. 52-45 Spurs, under 5 left in the first half. If the Spurs are to hold on and beat the Clippers tonight, that would be the Clippers' 2nd consecutive loss. They lost to the Kings on Saturday, and they're losing right now to the Spurs, who are also one of the hottest teams in basketball. If the Spurs hold on and beat the Clippers would fall back to 500 at 34-34, which would mean the Warriors would be just 1 game behind the Clippers. Currently, though, again, the Clippers also have the tiebreaker. That could change given there is 1 more head-to-head game coming up, but the likeliest scenario is the Clippers will also have the tiebreaker over the Warriors when all is said and done as well. But if the Clippers were to lose, the Warriors would gain a full game on the Clippers today and would finish the night just 1 game behind the Clippers for the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So we'll see how it all plays out. If you are a Warrior fan, you're really looking at just 3 teams right now. It's the Warriors and the Blazers. Those to me are the 2 most important. And then the 3rd most important, of course, is the Clippers and what happens down there in Southern California with their games the rest of the season. All right. That's going to do it for Warriors Wrap Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy signing off as the Dubs get a win. They snap their 5-game losing streak. They're now 33-35 with a 125-117 win over the Wizards tonight in D.C. For Cam Williams behind the glass, working double duty today. We appreciate that as always. My name is Mark Grandy signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. I will be back with you on Wednesday when the Dubs are in Boston for more Warriors wrap-up on 95.7 The Game. Until then, have a great rest of your Monday night, and we'll talk on Wednesday on 95.7 The Game.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak